What is up, everybody? Welcome to Eagles Postgame Live. Eagles take the L 33-16. Joining us, he is Shane Haff. Go give him a follow on X at Shane Haff NFL. What's up, Shane?
Oh, man. What an afternoon, Deibs. I think the worst part is the fractional amount of hope you get opening the second half with the Saquon Barkley run, but I'm sure we'll get into that. It was a rough one. Rough game to watch for sure.
As soon as the defense gives you some slight hope, Jalen Hurts takes that right away with that turnover. We're going to break it down. Also joining us, he is Jonny Page at Jonny Page 9 on X. What's up, Jonny?
Yeah, that was a fun one. You can always tell it's good when I have about 10 different people tweet me and Shane just saying, look forward to the film this week, guys. I don't know how you do it. And I was like, yeah, you know it's that kind of week.
It is ironic that our film shows are more anticipated after games like this than good games.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into like some quick overreaction. Honestly, just like the halftime show, it feels like a regression from the end of last year. It feels like a team that's very much quit on the coach. The missed tackles. This isn't professional football players that just forget how to tackle. It's a not willing to put your body on the line to make plays for your team. It's 2023 all over again. A team that has no identity, a team that comes out flat to start every single game. No pass rush. People saying this team was a contender before the season started, man. I was not on board with that. And my gosh, they look moronic right now. Shane, quick takes.
You could go a lot of different ways with that. You can give context that you're missing your right tackle and your top two receivers, and so offense might be tough sledding, but it's really hard to defend the approach in the first half to throw the ball on every first down, incomplete pass, and then run it on 2nd and 10, which everybody knows is a bad decision. Like, you can look at it from that angle. You can look at it from the defense was pretty much fully healthy and just got shredded by Baker Mayfield. You can look at it from a Vic Fangio scheme standpoint. You can look at it from a Jalen Hurts stop fumbling the freaking football standpoint. Like, there's so many standpoints. People are going to be warring on Twitter about who's at fault. If your name's not Saquon Barkley, it's your fault. Like, literally everyone except Saquon is indefensible in this whole game. Coaches, players, it was just garbage all the way around.
What about you, Jonny?
Yeah, I've got like a lot of thoughts this week, actually, mainly on Hurts and the defense is where I really want to get into it. But I know we'll do that sort of as we get there, so I won't jump into it now. I'll just say, like, I expected this team to be a little bit rough at the start of the year. And I think I said this for a while. Like, I think 2 new coordinators, different schemes. I expected a bit of growing pains. I think there's like a way you can lose. And I think the Eagles lost today in a bad way. Like, you can lose games of football and you can still come away thinking we were well prepared. We had a decent game plan. The other team just was better on the day. I think I expected the Eagles to lose today. No Lane Johnson, no AJ Brown, no Devontae Smith. I wasn't expecting them to be brilliant, but the way they lost, the scoreline in a weird way almost looks flattering. Like 33-16, it could have been worse. Like, that first half was, when you're seeing pictures of like friends sending to me of like 256 yards versus 0, like that doesn't happen. Like, good teams can lose games of football, but there's a way to lose, and they were embarrassed today. They were lucky they sort of clawed it back with a couple of touchdowns in the second half, I guess, because when you're 250 yards to 0, that you just don't see that in the NFL. I don't care if you've got new coaches. I don't care how many injuries you got. That's sort of inexcusable. And yeah, bye week now, which might be the best time, but heads will roll at the end of the season. If they have any more games like that, there will be more than one if it continues like that, because it was not very good.
Nick Sirianni is not surviving this season. There is no chance.
Yeah.
Like 12 consecutive games, the Eagles have lost the turnover battle. They're at -6 now, I believe, after this one. At this point, like, barring Jalen Hurts making some unbelievable turnaround with the turnover issue, man, we've got some serious problems. And I think at the top of the problem list is Nick Sirianni. You know, it's Shane, how do the Eagles go on from here? Like, what is Nick Sirianni saying in the locker room? Because we have said this over and over and over again on all of these shows.
I don't even know. you look at, it's just been a thing. Like, I can't remember the last time that the Eagles started a game fast. That's what we spoke about at the halftime show. It feels like every week it's give up a long drive, go 3 and out. And all of a sudden, you're in a bad spot. I'm watching the game with my son, and you give up the long touchdown drive and go 3 and out, and then give up another touchdown drive. And he's like, that's like the worst way you could start a game. And I was like, it could always get worse. And you go 3 and out and you give up another touch. It just feels like by the time the Eagles show up to play, the game's over. I mean, you can't do it. And the game plays out differently, in a different world. But if you can somehow eliminate those first 3 drives where the Tampa Bay opens 21-0, 24-0 even, like, the Eagles offense played fairly evenly with the Buccaneers offense after that initial onslaught, but you just can't start that slow every week and be able to claw it back. And it feels like that's what the Eagles do. And last week, the defense keeps them in the game while the offense is struggling. This week, the defense just gets blasted. And there's probably Fangio conversations to be had in that whole thing too. But I don't know what the solution is. I know the 2 biggest concerns I have are turnovers on the offense and a lack of pass rush on the defense. And I don't think there's easy answers to either one of those.
What about you, Jonny?
Yeah, what was the question again? Are we talking big picture still? I'm sort of my brain
big picture with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Sirianni, that was the thing.
Yeah,
I think Sirianni's going to be. I don't know. He's going to have to get like the championship game or something for him to keep his job. You mentioned the slow starts, but like the thing that makes football wonderful is that every game is very much matchup specific, but it's also game state specific. And I think the Eagles, with the players they had, so they have a chance against the Bucs. But there's a very certain way they have to play, and when you come out the first quarter and you go 14-0 down, whatever, you can't play the way like you want to. Like, even if we can sit here and say they will, coaches don't. That, like, you end up just chasing the game. The momentum's all with the other team. Like, a head coach's job is like fundamentals, basics, and you sort of set the culture and the leadership for things like that. Turnovers. I mean, I didn't realize that stat until I don't know if it was Brady or the other guy said it, and you just repeat it, Deibs. So I'm assuming it's true. The 12 games with a turnover defeat or whatever, they've lost the turnover battle. Does that mean they haven't even drawn a game in those 12 in terms of a turnover battle? Like, they've lost every single one. Like, that's insane, because they've won like a couple of games in that as well. Like, that is absolutely insane, and that comes from your head coach. At the end of the day, part of being the big guy is that you have to take the fall if things go wrong, and you take the blame. And you might think it's unfair, but it's the same in any walk of life. If you are the CEO type leader of an organization, then you are responsible when things like that aren't looking good for your team. So yeah, he needs a little bit of a miracle after the bye week. I'm not expecting anything radical. Like, I don't think we're going to hear anything tomorrow. Like, they're going to go in a different direction. Like, they're not going to do it at 2-2. But I think, yeah, he needs a very, very different Eagles team after the bye week, or he is in huge trouble.
Yeah. Let's jump right into Jalen Hurts. That is the talking point. That will be the talking point, at least for the next 2 weeks. 18 of 30, 158 yards, a touchdown through the air. He did allow 6 sacks, holding on the ball too long. He did have 2 fumbles, 1 lost. I'll throw it to you, Shane, first. Quick thoughts, grades on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, rough position to be in. Obviously, down Lane Johnson and the 2 receivers. I thought some guys did not do him favors early in the game. Dallas Goedert drops what should have been a first down. Johnny Wilson drops what should have been a first down, but he also airmails one over Saquon Barkley behind the defense. I was on board with like, hey, we're getting going now in the second half. That fumble was killer. And that fumble, you get Levante David. It's a good blitz scheme, which we're not talking about the defense, but why? Like, just do something creative for a change as a pass rushing unit. But you can't dodge a guy coming through at you in the pocket and then just forget he's there and wind up for a throw. Like, just tuck that ball and run it. Like, that's what kills me in this game more than anything is the fumbles that Jalen Hurts had. I think you could wash away. The game might turn out entirely differently if you don't fumble that. And so I understand like the slow start offensively, and I really thought he was picking it up, but it's just gut-wrenching turnover after gut-wrenching turnover week over week. And it's got to stop. None of those are defensible. Those are on him. Fumbling the football, you can't have it. So ultimately, it's a really bad day for Hurts.
What I can't stand is there's just so much inconsistency with this offense. The fact that Saquon Barkley had 2 carries, like heading heavily into the second quarter, is inexcusable. Like you mentioned that fumble. To get bumped by that guy and then not realize he's there, that lack of pocket awareness is unacceptable. What's he in his 5th year now? Like, I'm a Jalen Hurts guy, and I have been for a long time. And this is probably my breaking point for Jalen Hurts this season. And I've probably been hardest ever on Jalen Hurts this year, right, Shane? Like, you take out 1 to 2 mind-numbing plays from Jalen Hurts, and he's been pretty good this season per game. But today, I thought we saw Jalen Hurts get exposed for what he really is. He cannot read heavy blitzes. He cannot throw running left. He's got horrible accuracy on medium routes. And we saw them get killed again with that turnover in the third quarter, just like we saw in the Super Bowl, just like we've seen in every game that's mattered since then. Man, it's getting repetitive at this point. Jonny, what are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts? How would you grade him today? Big picture going forward.
I feel like I could spend a whole podcast on Jalen Hurts. I'm struggling with
we will
how to like process things. Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit. Like, guys are going to see me mentally break down because I hate being like overreactionary. Like, Jalen Hurts has had a perfectly fine 3 weeks, and I'm going to piss people off when I say that. He was very good last week. He's in a brand new scheme without his best player. And I think overall his season has been fine. And people are going to go mad, and I'm going to get lots of tweets and stuff. He was crap state. Like you don't need me to tell you that. He was in a horrendous situation where the team stopped essentially running the ball early on because they were playing catch up. He was also without an offensive line that was able to deal with the blitz. He was without receivers that could apparently separate. I try and look at players when I try and put on my coaching hat, and Shane knows this about me. I'm always trying to think about, like, I try and look at players. There are lots of things Jalen Hurts can't do. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Peyton Manning. And he's not Dak Prescott, sort of reading a defense and getting the ball out pre-snap and like audibling, et cetera, and getting to his backside. But I try and look at what he can do. And people are going to hate this. Hurts is going nowhere. The organization loves him. He's locked in for 2 more years at least. And even then, you've got a huge dead cap. The whole Eagles organization needs to be about how do we get good play out of Jalen Hurts. And to me, what Jalen Hurts does really well is he needs an elite wide receiver. And I think he does. And people can say, oh, but you like Jalen Hurts and you still think he needs. Yeah, he does. Because he needs basically to get a team in single high and then he can go down the field. And if you don't have a deep threat, they got nothing. You could see him like desperately trying to throw one deep to John Ross and there's nothing there. Like there was no separation at all. I used to defend him for not turning the ball over. And recently he started turning the ball over. But weirdly, it's not like he's throwing a bunch of risky tight window passes. It's more just like pocket management stuff. I tweeted something quite, I guess, weird today. The fumble annoyed me, but the fumble is what people want him to do. Like he stepped up in the pocket and stayed there. And people get annoyed when he bails. And I'm like, no, I don't give a crap. Run away, run. I'm perfectly fine treating Jalen Hurts like a 1-2 read run. You can have success in this league by it. NFL coaches are good at this stuff now. There's some really good offensive coordinators. I don't want an old school like sit back in the pocket, 1, 2, 3, 4, read back. So that's when fumbles in the pocket happen. Defenses are too good. Like your job as a coach is to simplify things for Hurts. His whole career. I was the Hurts hater. I was the guy. I saw Greg Cosell came out this week and said Purdy's better from the pocket, and everyone went a little bit mad. And I was like the Greg Cosell. I grew up in that era of football. I loved Zach Mettenberger coming out of college, guys. Like I wanted a pocket statue. Nick Foles was my guy. Stand there, read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get the ball out. And I've changed. I've seen that I did not like Lamar Jackson coming out. Like my philosophy on quarterbacks has changed. I think mobility from the pocket. I think you build an offense. I watched Jaden Daniels for Washington. He's not reading backside. Like it's 1, 2 out. The ball is there. If it's not there, get out of the pocket. And I think as players get older, the worry is you try and turn him into something he's not. And I've been as pro Kellen Moore as anyone, but I have also, and Shane will know this, I've been worried that they're going to try and run an offense that maybe doesn't suit him. And I still think he needs to run the ball. I think we need to see more. Like we didn't see a QB run game today. The QB run game is like read option stuff. And if people say he gets injured. Do you know what? I'd rather 12 games of Jalen Hurts when he actually plays Jalen Hurts football than 16 games of a pocket Jalen Hurts. Like, I want to see QB counter. Where's the empty like draw game? Like, I know it didn't work a lot last year, but that was an easy button for the Eagles. I'm a little bit worried that the offense they're putting around him is trying to turn him into something that maybe he's not. And I'm saying that as a fan of him. I don't want him in a drop back passing game, like reading things out. I think he's got really big limitations, and he always has. But I also think that there is something you can do as a coaching staff to set him up for success. I will also admit, and people are also going to piss off people when I say this, it may be that this week without AJ Brown and Devontae Smith is not the game to judge Kellen Moore. It is very possible that that passing game is not functionable against a really good defense or a very good coordinator, because it sucks because Jahan Dotson showed something, but you've got nothing there. Like, there is nothing at receiver right now. And we've been on offenses before. When you have nothing at receiver, like, there's only so much you can do. So, yeah, sorry, I could go on for longer because I'm reading lots of comments coming in. The arguments are going on, blah, 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 blah. And I get it. Like, I don't think I am making excuses for him. I know he's got limitations. I see them every single week on film. But I think that he has enough positive traits that you can build a very, very good offense around. And I don't want to talk about the Super Bowl anymore, but like, I've seen it. He can do it. And I think the Eagles have got to find a way to get him back to that, because I don't think he's going anywhere, and you can moan about it all you want, but I think he's going to be here for a while still. And you're going to have to figure out a way. And I'm not talking like college-y stuff, by the way. There's a great comment from someone coming in. You can't be a drop-back passer. I agree. I'm not just saying Jalen Hurts is an RPO guy. Like, he can be a drop-back passer. I've seen it on film. He absolutely can. But it could be that you need to simplify half-field reads. You need to do things to help him. And I'm not sure today's game plan really helped him very much.
That's it. Like, it's the game plan. And that's not on Jalen Hurts. The game plan was god-awful. God-awful. Yeah. This was the game to establish the run. This was the game to, go all in with the underneath routes, the slants, but all we saw, especially on those first downs from the Eagles, deep shot, no running, no flats with the running backs. Like, it was a horrible game plan, really, until the third quarter, which we saw the Eagles finally focus heavily on Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley. They move the ball down the field. They end up scoring a touchdown. We saw the tush push, but the fumble, the holding the ball onto the ball too long, man, it is pretty repetitive, Johnny. Like, it is everything.
It is. The fumbles in the pocket.
The Eagles are in the red zone. Jalen Hurts turnover. It is pretty much put that on DraftKings.
But here's the thing. Like, you come into a game like this. I mean, I'm tweeting about it before the game. Just run the ball, like, establish the run. And we talk about how, you can't do that down 24-0. Maybe you're not down 24-0 if you come into a game and say, hey, our top two receivers are out. Let's try to run the ball early and stay ahead of the sticks so you don't end up where the Buccaneers can use their exotic blitz packages, but you come out and you're just throwing first down, running 2nd and 10, and now all of a sudden you're in 3rd and 8 and Todd Bowles can dial up a blitz. Like, Saquon Barkley had 3 runs in this game on first down, 7 yards, 59 yards, and then a 3-yard run. You were constantly, like, you're down players. Jalen Hurts fumbles the ball a few times. The approach in this game consistently put the players that were out there in a bad situation too. And so that's where I let off the top of the show. Like, it is everyone's fault today. Like, it is everyone's fault the way the game turned out. And I mean, that's really it. That cannot be your game plan, offense or defense. And we're not even to defense yet, but that can't be the way you come into the game. It can't be the way the players perform. There is plenty of fault to go around. And, at the end of the day, hopefully you flush this one and you get healthy over a bye week and you don't let this game end your season and you don't spiral like last year. But man, it's just a frustrating one all the way around.
Yeah. And can I say as well, like, because I think we probably need to get off Hurts, or we could do. Hurts is not even where I want to go. I don't even want to talk about the offense that much in this game. Like, the game plan was really bad. And I've always thought this about the Eagles offensive coordinators. I do worry a little bit about how much that comes from above. And I'm not even talking about Sirianni. Like, I think the Eagles as an organization under Lurie are a pass-first team, and I think that's what they want to be. And if they would just accept the fact that they are a run-the-damn-ball offense, and they should be. I ain't 14-0 down, 17-0 down. I tweeted it in the second quarter. It doesn't matter. There's just, like, some comments coming in about Hurts, and I think people need to chill a little bit when I said there was something that, like, it doesn't read a defense at all. And, like, I think stuff like that, like, I think that's nonsense. Like, he's been in the league, and I saw someone tweet earlier on, and I'm not fighting the chat now. I know Shane abused them last week. I'm not going to start fighting people. But I saw someone say, like, I can't wait for the all-22 when this guy's wide open. And I've watched every offensive snap, all-22. I know Deibs. I know you clip everything, let alone watch it. I know Shane watches it as well. If you can go and find 10 plays this year where Jalen Hurts is staring at a guy wide open in the middle of the field and doesn't throw it, please tweet me them. Because I don't see them. I don't see, and I'm actually not expecting to go back and watch this game and seeing guys running wide open. It's really hard doing this podcast with the TV copy, but I did not see like any replays of guys really open. There was Saquon Barkley once when he completely overthrew him, but except for that, it didn't look to me like, oh, they're just not like the guys are there. I think the offensive game plan was really rough. It was not how I would have gone about it at all. It had been run the game, quick screens. They need the whole thing about Todd Bowles is do not get him third and long. Like, that is his dream. You need to be 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. 2.5 yard runs on first down are not the end of the world. Like, going to 2nd and 7 and then 3rd and 5. I know it's not a great yards per carry, but it's not that bad. Because as a defensive coordinator, you can't go nuts on 3rd and long. By the end of that game, Todd Bowles was probably literally going to the back of his playbook going, oh, sweet, let's run whatever the hell we want because they're just throwing. I think then Jalen Hurts taking like 7-step dropbacks by the end of the game. I was like, the guy was probably absolutely living it. Like, you can't come out early on and throw the ball that often. Like, I know it's easy when you lose to look at the snaps and see like 10 carry, but it is laughable. Like, I don't care if you're 21-0 down at halftime. Like, it is, you cannot come out and throw the ball that much. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's me done on Hurts. I'll leave you guys to finish off before I keep going even further.
Just the approach was so bad just from the start. I mean, just talk about setting a tone for this game. And you talked about Todd Bowles. How about the Eagles? Like, let me talk about the Bucs first, because the first quarter numbers for Baker Mayfield on first down: 8 of 9 passing, 81 yards, 10.1 yards per completion. Bucky Irving had 3 carries for 33 yards and 10 yards per carry. That, like, there it is. Like, that's why this is giving me so much PTSD from 2023, because it's the Eagles not being able to sustain offense, and it's the Eagles not being able to get off the field on 3rd and long on defense.
I'm over it with the offense.
Let's go to defense.
Literally, just before we do offense, one final thing. I haven't checked the EPA numbers. The Eagles were at 0.31 EPA per rush this game, which is like incredibly good on 18 plays. As an offense, they were negative 0.8, passing the ball negative 0.26, and early rushes, first down rushes, 0.22 EPA as well. Like, I hate being run the ball game because you just sound like such a basic guy doing analysis. But the way the world is these days, the way some of these defensive coordinators are, Todd Bowles is a great example. And yes, they've got Vita Vea, but we've seen Jordan Davis get beat. You can run an offense away from a big guy. It's one guy. I know the Bucs are a decent run defense. I know they're a good team, but like, you can't run the ball that little. Like, sorry, it's driving me insane. Like, you have to commit to it. Now let's go really insane. Lead us off, Dive. Talk about the defense because I want to go mad on this one. So let's go. I love this
comment here. Nakobe Dean missed like 10 tackles. I mean, just from the eye test, I mean, Nakobe Dean looked like one of the worst players on the football field today. But the entire team was bad. Outside of what? Brandon Graham again. But you look at this defense, Darius Slay had 9 tackles. Tristan McCollum had 8 tackles. Nakobe Dean 7. I don't even know where to begin with this one. Like, the biggest, the most memorable piece of this defense was that 3rd and 14, where it was a crucial moment in this game to keep the Eagles in this one. And they had 2 penalties on defense. One called for holding. I forget what the other one was. It was just offsides on the defense.
Yeah. Hey,
I mean, the leading off though, Shane, real quick, like the pass rush from Bryce Huff and everyone, minus Brandon Graham, is inexcusable at this point. I mean, this is now getting to the point where we need to start having a bigger conversation about Howie Roseman.
So in the last 2 weeks, Baker Mayfield's taken 7 sacks and 5 sacks. They're playing down the right tackle. They got a really bad backup right tackle. Baker Mayfield entered this week with the 2nd lowest average depth of target and the 5th fastest time to throw. So it's a really interesting idea to play off coverage the whole game and let him immediately get the ball out to the flat, immediately get the ball out underneath over the middle. He had a 2.26 second time to throw this week. That ball was coming out on average in 2.25 seconds. Like, a pass rush win is charted as defeating your block in 2.5 seconds. Like, he was getting the ball out faster than you could conceivably even win a pass rush. That's on Vic. 100%. That's terrible to not adjust to that. Like, to continue to just, like, all they were trying to do is spread you out horizontally. So you can't play 5-man fronts, right? We're going to spread you out horizontally and get the ball out incredibly fast. And it wasn't until the second half they started to move guys closer to the line of scrimmage. Darius Slay almost gets an interception after that happens. Like, it was just, it works. That approach is fine in some situations. It's probably not what you want to do when you're facing a guy who leads the league in throwing the ball quick underneath. You've got to be able to get up and challenge receivers. And I mean, what you're going to see looking at the film this week is awful tackling. It was nice we had that 1 week we could tackle last week. And you're going to see terrible coverage over the middle of the field, which is Avonte Maddox and the linebackers, issues we've known we've had. And then on the plays where Baker holds it, there's just not much of a pass rush. And it's the same things we've talked about for weeks. I saw somebody asked earlier, why are you out of the 5-man fronts? That doesn't work very well against 11 personnel. That's why I said last week the Saints really helped the Eagles out by staying in heavy personnel. It's hard to do that because when the Eagles did it, the Bucs just spread them out horizontally and threw screens and threw quick to the flats, and they had numbers advantages. So it all comes back to struggles to stop the run out of 4-man fronts against nickel or out of nickel personnel. It's inability to tackle. It just all meshes together into yuck.
Jonny, any thoughts?
Yeah, Shane, do we have like an explicit tag on the podcast? If I swear, am I in trouble?
We do not have one, but maybe 27 minutes, maybe 28 minutes in, it won't be.
Podcast. Never been so tempted. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll be polite. Just imagine every swear word in your head, and I'm going to describe Vic Fangio's defense like that today. Like, I can't quite believe how bad they were. And the thing that really pissed me off, and it really pissed me off, and you mentioned it there, Shane, is everyone's going to moan about the missed tackles. I think it was nearly cussed there. I don't give a crap about the missed tackles, guys. I hate to say it to you. Do you know why they missed so many tackles? They missed so many tackles because they're constantly tackling guys in the open field because they're catching a ball short. And then, do you know what? Defense is hard to tackle. Like, tackling is not an easy thing. If you look around the league, if the Eagles got the ball into a receiver in space one-on-one, you'd expect them to break a tackle. They miss so many tackles, not because they physically can't tackle, but because they're physically having to make so many tackles in the open field because the flats are just open every single play. So every time they put that stupid missed tackle counter on the field, I was getting more pissed off because I was going, I don't care. Like, it's not a tackling issue. I'm not saying the Eagles tackled well today, and that's going to piss people off as well when I say it's not a tackling issue. But you know, it's really hard to tackle when guys are open in space with no one around them. I wrote like the most positive film review ever this week of Fangio, but I literally said right at the start, I just want everyone to know, I don't think this suddenly means he commits to 5-man fronts. I think he literally just had the perfect week ever to play against a Saints offense that played right into his hands. And this week he got back to 11 personnel, spread out, and they couldn't do anything. I agree with you, Shane. It's harder to stop things in 5-man fronts, but you know what? You still can. You can run 5-man fronts, 11 personnel. But you know what you have to do? You have to bring your cornerbacks higher up the field. You have to bring your safeties closer to the line of scrimmage. You have to risk it a little bit. And basically what the Eagles do is they can't rush the passer, partly because the ball comes out so quickly, because the cornerbacks are miles off. When they do get into obvious passing situations, I think at that point, you then do see they've got some weaknesses at edge. But that's also harder to rush the quarterback because that's in situations where they've got more men in pass protection, etc., etc. Everything is a problem when you give up easy throws. And I've said this for years, and it's been my biggest criticism of Fangio and the Fangio style, is I think when you give up just consistent completions, you give an offense momentum. And I get really annoyed by the bend but don't break defense, because for anyone that's played sports, you know what it's like going out on the field, just giving up first down. It annoys you. It makes you do stuff. It makes you get angry as a defense, and it makes you just not play well. You lose momentum. The offense doesn't get the ball. Like, you cannot. What was Baker Mayfield at one point? Like 12 or 13, 30 to 14, whatever he was. Like, those first two drives were abysmal. And basically, Fangio's whole thing is meant to be like triangle coverages, like box coverages, like passing off routes. When do you see a guy running across the field getting passed off to another defender and it work? Like, they just run behind the linebacker. They run Mike Evans from the slot across the field, done. And then occasionally they'll do it from the same side, or they'll fake they're going to run across. I mean, they'll break it back out. It's like an intermediate out, and there's no one there. Like, they don't seem to be able to communicate. And their passing defense this game looked horrendous. Like, I don't really know what to say about Fangio this week, because I think the run stuff will get better against certain matchups. But I don't even blame the players at this point. Like, I'm fully out on the scheme at the moment, and I find it hard to blame individuals. I think we can all sit here and like look at every individual, and obviously like Bryce Huff sucks, and we all know that, and we can talk about him and whatever. But like, as an overall defense, you just cannot give up obvious passing plays 5, 6, 7 yards in the flat all the time, because it kills you. It puts you in horrendous second and short situations, third and short situations. Then you can't rush the passer. And as I mentioned, the missed tackling is such a symptom of the fact that they are trying to tackle guys who have already caught the ball with no one around them in the flat. Like, you can't play like that. You don't miss tackles. You don't give up passes. Like, if you give up 12 or 13 passes to running backs in the flat, you're going to miss tackles. It is simply like almost unavoidable. And the Eagles can obviously tackle better. I thought what summed that up more than anything for me was the Reed Blankenship, and I love Reed Blankenship, but the tackle on Baker Mayfield was it 4th and goal? Was that 14 or something?
You went low.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! Like, Brendan Graham played it perfectly. So basically, if you're going to run read option there, it's 4th and 1. So you have to. Running back has to take the edge has to take the running back. Brendan Graham played it perfectly, because if you give it to the running back, you're screwed. So you completely crash down. And when you crash down, what do you expect? A linebacker to come over the top and scrape and hit the quarterback hard. Well, because it's goal line defense, they've got all linebackers stacked up. So it's not a linebacker, it's a safety. But you need to fly downhill. I don't care if you miss a tackle. I said it. If Reed Blankenship comes crashing down, Baker Mayfield jukes him out and walks in, you go, crap. But the worst thing you do is tackle him low at the 1 yard line, because it's completely pointless. And when I say a passive defense, Jim Schwartz defenses would not do that. I'm pretty sure if Reed Blankenship tackled him like that, Jim Schwartz would go over. You'd see Jim Schwartz's head red on the sideline. Like, what the hell are you doing? Because it's so passive. And I use that word far too many times in articles the last 3 years. I've said the word passive. I don't even want to know how many times since Jim Schwartz left this team, because I can accept a mediocre defense. The Eagles' defense is average talent. You're going to struggle at linebacker, and they're not going to be a top 10, but Jesus Christ, just show a little bit of aggression. That play was like so perfectly sort of summarized just what annoys me about this defense. And yeah, it was a very frustrating game. We
have Daniel saying Nolan Smith on Godwin was just goofy. Nolan Smith at defensive back by design is so stupid. Like, Nakobe Dean in coverage looked like he was moving like an 80-year-old out there just jogging. Nakobe Dean had 4 missed tackles in this one. Avonte Maddox had 1. Any thoughts on Cooper DeJean finally getting some more snaps in that role?
I'm for it. I think he helps your run defense in the slot over Avonte Maddox. And I mean, I thought Avonte played well last week. We'll have to go back and see, but it didn't look very good today. I'm very much in the let's give a young guy a shot feeling right now. And maybe I'm in my feelings a little much, but I like Cooper DeJean in the draft. I would like to see him get some more opportunities.
I'm also getting tired of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson very quickly. Like, you need to pick that ball off. Like, other than that, like, what are you doing here? He doesn't give you much else other than, I guess, an identity for the defense. Johnny, any thoughts?
Yeah, Chauncey's a funny player, man. He's a funny player. I think when he's high, he's amazing. When he's not, he's low. This might also piss people off, which I'm doing a lot of, I reckon, today. But I would consider putting Quinion Mitchell in the slot as well. and sticking Ringo outside if you don't think DeJean's ready, because I think at least with Ringo, he can press and you can get up and play. I'm genuinely fascinated to watch the 22 on defense this week. Like I want to see how much cover one press man they played. I reckon it was like non-existent. Like it just looks like so wide open, and Maddox is a problem. Yeah. But yeah, I think DeJean coming in or Ringo going outside could be a smart option, especially after the bye week.
Yep. Everyone was bad, just like everything. Any other thoughts on the defense before we get into some segments here?
Hey there, it is Ryan Seacrest with you. Do you want to make this summer unforgettable? Join me at Chumba Casino. It's this summer's hottest online destination. They are rolling out the red carpet with an amazing welcome offer just for you. So don't wait. Dive in now and play hundreds of social casino games for free. Your chance to redeem real prizes is just a spin away. Care to join me?
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
For once.
Nope. I'm
going twice.
I'm trying to think.
Do we even do a player of the game in this game?
Just shout stuff at Fangio still. Like, yeah. Does anyone know what they were? Comments might tell me. What was Baker Mayfield like the first 3-4 drives? What was the completion percentage? Was it something like 14, 15? Like, how high was it before I lose my?
I can get it for you, and I can get it for you in a minute. I'll tally it.
Yeah, I'm sure it was 12 out of 13 at some point. I'm looking forward to the defensive film because this one might annoy me more than other ones have annoyed me. Someone's coming in 14 out of 15. That's what I thought. Like, you can't play football like that. I know. Yeah. And the thing is, it's a system that's going around the league at the moment, and people are happy to give up short plays and stuff. And I know that it's been credited with some very successful defenses. One thing I did want to throw there actually was like when they were in third and long, there's nothing creative. Like what happened to remember preseason when we saw like the slot corner blitzes and we're like, oh, that's cool. Where's it gone? Like the whole Fangio thing is drop a rusher, bring a second level defender. I used to get annoyed at him for bringing safeties and slot corners too slow. I'm not getting annoyed at him for that anymore. He doesn't bring anyone. Like when they were 3rd and 11 today, 3rd and 14, I thought the Eagles just basically rushed 4, rushed 5 and played coverage in the back end. Whereas when the Eagles were 3rd and 14, Todd Bowles was like looking at his playbook laughing, like trying to bring some ridiculous pressure with like 7 men lined up at the line of scrimmage and then free drop and free come. I think at one point, Kellen Moore, I think it might have been the first third down of the game, tried to avoid it by rolling Jalen Hurts out. And Bowles brought the right slot cornerback and Jalen Hurts just rolled straight into him. And I was like, oh, brilliant. It's going to be that kind of game. But yeah, there's just nothing like interesting about the defense either from a pass rush perspective. And we're all blaming individuals as we should. But you know what? If you've got bad individuals, what you need to do is use your scheme to help them. And oh my God, we don't do that. The scheme's not helping them, even if they are pretty bad already.
Fangio is passive. Mayfield takes what you give him. You knew you were missing key offensive personnel. Can you not draw up a different defensive game plan? I agree. That's the biggest take out of this is I don't even know where to begin. It starts at the top, just like 2023, from the coaching and so forth to bad play all across the table. Shane, anything you want to add before we get into our ridiculous segment, player of the game?
Mayfield started 14 of 17, and he got up to 20 of 25 before the punt, kind of at the end of the first half when they were going 2-minute drills. So 20 of 25, basically, at one point in the first half.
And they're all just short passes, short pass, short pass, short pass. And the Eagles never adjusted until it was too late. Let's get into our Eagles and Bucs player of the game. All right, lead us off, Johnny. Where do you want to go with this?
I mean, Saquon Barkley, because he was the best player on the field as he has been every day this week. But would have been nice for him to get the ball a hell of a lot. Did he end with 10 carries? I'm terrible at looking up stats while on the podcast. Was it 10 in the end? 10
carries for 84 yards, 2 receptions for 32 yards. So 12 touches, 9.7 yards per touch.
And how many drives did the Eagles have? 8, 9? So he's carrying the ball, 1.5 times per drive, I'm guessing, or something? Like, what are we doing? Like run a screen pass or something and get the guy in space. Like stick him a wide receiver and then motion him across the field and give him a like jet sweep or something. Like
10 drives.
10 drives and what? So 12 touches. Yeah, 12 touches on 10 drives. Like that is Jesus Christ, lads. That is so bad. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna jump into this thing, and I'm not going Eagles before Shane steals mine because I don't even know where I would go if I didn't pick this one. Give me Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had a very good game, obviously, with his game plan. But where I go to with Mayfield is there was a stretch in that third, fourth quarter where I forget what drive it was, but it was like back to back to back third and longs that were converted, like one to Chris Godwin, another to Mike Evans, just picking apart the Eagles defense on those third and longs. That was a big moment in this game where the Eagles did have some life. The Bucs finished 6 of 13 on third down, which was the same as the Eagles, but I feel like that stretch was a big momentum shift in favor of the Bucs that really put this one away. Shane, who's your player of the game?
I would give it to like the tag team of Keely Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers for the blocked extra point that was returned for a touchdown, except for the fact that those are also the two guys that either ran into or drove a guy into Cooper DeJean, causing 2 fumbles on punts. So I can't go there. I guess I'll go with Quinyon Mitchell. I'm a Quinyon Mitchell stan. I thought he did pretty good against Mike Evans. He got beat on one double move. I think it was Godwin on the double move, and is one of those we've talked about. He's going to get tested on those out and ups because he's aggressive, and he got beat. I thought he still made up pretty well and got to the catch point. You're not out muscling those guys from a weak position at the catch point. But Quinyon Mitchell remains fun to watch. I guess I'll give it to him because there's nobody else.
Robster says, you're without 2 starters at wide receiver and don't run your best back. That's what we said at the start of the show. It's just the inconsistency with this offense, whether it's Jalen Hurts, where he looks really good, or he makes you want to throw your head into a wall, or Kellen Moore. He looks really good with some amazing drawn up plays, but in like this one where he only has 2 carries through going into the second quarter. How is Howie? So is this the Howie move to address the defensive line since the Fangio system is predicated on front 4 pressure? I said earlier the Eagles should be really looking into double dipping at edge in this draft come 2025. You look at Josh Sweat. I think Howie made it pretty clear that he's trying to made it easier to get off of that contract. You look at Bryce Huff and Nolan Smith basically as your slotted edges for 2025. Edge is such a huge position of need for the Birds going forward. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, can I make the controversial take that I genuinely think Hassan Reddick and Bryce Huff might swap this week? Like, I know we joke about these things, and like from what I've seen from replies on Twitter, it is financially feasible to do it. But I don't think it's like actually like impossible because, oh my goodness, I bring back Hassan Reddick. People got frustrated with him, but he'd make 1 or 2 big plays a game. And also, see, while you were talking about the Barkley thing, can we stop doing Kenny Gainwell 2-minute drill thing, please? Like, why? Is it like they've like contractually obliged to give Kenny Gainwell like important touches in 2-minute drills? Like, I guess Will Shipley didn't even get a snap today, by the way. And I'm not Shipley's biggest fan, but like you could have lent into like a 2 running back system. You could have tried something to be a little bit more creative. I mean, I think they did put Ben Van Sumeren at fullback for a play, didn't they? That was a thing. I'm not making that up. He did play fullback for 1 snap, didn't he?
I'm not even sure. I'd have to go look.
I'm going to sound like a right weirdo now if that's not true. I'm convinced Ben Van Sumeren played a snap of fullback today. If he didn't, then someone spiked my drink and I was watching a different game. But I'm pretty sure he did. If the chat could save me now, that would be great because now I'm doubting everything I've watched for the past 3 hours.
You're lucky you accidentally ended up in a different game. That's all I wanted to do.
2-minute drill. Oh,
hey, don't worry, guys. The Eagles can cut Bryce Huff at the end of this season, and it'll only cost them $29.6 million in dead cap. So.
I don't know whether or not to laugh or cry. But Bryce Huff had 29 pass rushing snaps in this one, had 1 pressure and 1 tackle. He's, again, more on the ground than he is in the backfield. And we're heading into the bye week. Everything's fine. Everything is completely fine.
I would like to tell you how many pressures their right tackle that Bryce Huff was rushing against has given up in the last 2 weeks.
We talked about on Birds of the Roundtable. Yes.
But like, it's going to take me a second to find it.
I got it. Hold on. Give me a second. It was Justin Skule or something along those lines.
Yep.
All right, hold on. Let's see. I'm pulling it up as you're pulling it up.
Is he the guy that Hutchinson?
Yeah, he allowed 3 sacks on 70 pass block snaps this season.
Oh my god. Yeah. And Nolan Smith's not it, is it? Like that pass rush isn't coming, is it? Like
no.
I think we've seen it for long enough now. Yeah, maybe my take that he was an off-ball linebacker coming out of college isn't as bad as everyone thought. But yeah, he's never been a pass rusher, never was in college, unless something dramatically changes. Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff are not going to give the Eagles anything going forward. So I think if the Eagles do actually want to win this year, I think that they might make a move for another edge guy. It wouldn't shock me at all if they look around for like veterans that can play a little bit this year. I think defensive line, no. I think edge. I think they could make a move.
That'd be really good because the Eagles have really good track record with trading for edge rushers in the season.
Yeah.
So Robert Quinn and who was the off-ball linebacker? They tried to make a linebacker, or they tried to make an edge rusher. I can't remember his name now. I can't remember who it was, but it was back in the Schwartz era, I think.
Yeah. Oh, really undersized guy.
Yeah, that was a linebacker. They tried to make an edge rusher.
Chris Kokong?
No,
there's another guy. Really,
I think
I know
they traded for the Brown. They traded for him with the Browns. I think I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, it didn't work. It didn't work.
Yep. I guess we'll go into our grades for tonight. Man, that picture is so fitting. Johnny, how would you grade this team performance?
Yeah, first it was Gerard Avery.
To
the comments. I love being live for a podcast. You could just ask people questions and then smart people come in and like save you when you're stuck. I see. How did the US grades work? Are they the same as the English? What's the lowest grade you can say? Is it F or can you go to U?
A to F. A to F.
A to F. All right. See, here we have like a U for like full on dropouts, like doesn't turn up even. So I was going to go U, so I'm going to go F. I know it wasn't like a 44 like nil type scoreline, but it sort of felt like it. It felt like it was basically as bad as it could possibly get from a coaching perspective, and there was basically no positives except maybe Barkley and Quinyon Mitchell, and that's about it. So I'm going to go F.
What about you, Shane?
Yeah, it's an F for me.
It's got to be an F. You look at Jalen Hurts versus Todd Bowles handling the blitz, fail. You look at running the offense through Saquon Barkley this week, fail. You look at Vic Fangio's adjustment, fail. The Eagles pass rush versus the Bucs offensive line, fail. And basically every storyline of the Eagles heading into this game against the Bucs, they deserve a flat F. Next, we're going to get into our segment, which is 3 words or less describing the Eagles' performance against the Tampa Bay Bucs. Let's get it. All right, guys, make sure you're following us at Eagles Pin Pull on X. Make sure you're commenting your thoughts on this one. Shane, do we have any comments here? Nice.
Yes, every week at Eagles Pin Pull puts this out so you guys can react and drop your 3 words. You can also do it in the chat here as we're live, but I got some good ones on Twitter this week. We've got Anthony chiming in with glad it's over. Jay Robbie says unserious team. Shout out for making unserious 2 words so it fits the 3 words. It's creative. It's outside the box. It's everything that Vic Fangio's defense is not. So we'll go with that. We've got it from Mephibosheth says interest is waning. We've got from Stupid Sexy Flanders says what pass rush ? Dan says just use Saquon. We've got from Down says terribly coached game and Now, he also put in parentheses as always, which is spot on, but that makes it more than 3 words. So I can't read that on the air, but you guys can go check that one out. Dan says, make it stop. And then we've got David chiming in with stumbling and bumbling. So there's our 3-word reactions from Twitter. I got a 3-word reaction for you. It is freedom next weekend. Bye week next weekend. I can't wait to not have to watch this team next weekend because honestly, I legitimately cannot remember the last time I had fun watching an Eagles game. I can't do it. So it'll be nice to get to watch other NFL games next weekend.
We have some great comments. Bent and broke. Bye week few. Fire Nick Sirianni. Blank me sideways. I miss AJ and butts for team. Johnny, do you have one?
Yeah, let's go fix the defense. I still think overall, like big picture, and I know I'm going to annoy everyone. I think the offense will be okay. I think get AJ Brown, get Devontae Smith back. I think this team will score points. I think Hurts will look significantly better. And you know what? I think looking around the league, I think relying on number 1 receivers isn't that bad. Everyone's going on about how great Sam Darnold is. Take out Justin Jefferson. I'm not sure he's the same. So I'm going to be heavily focused on the defense over the bye week. Yeah, that is where the issue for me lies, and that is where we need to see very quick improvement. Because I imagine Fangio's on a pretty hefty coaching salary as well, and he needs to start earning it because that was bad.
Wait, what was yours?
Fix the defense. Sorry.
Fix the defense. Okay. Yeah. If there's any one I could like combine, like double dip at edge in this draft, I don't want to get crazy and say tank for Arch.
Draft edge rushers.
Draft.
There you go. I fixed it for you.
Who can rush the quarterback?
Yeah.
Did you guys see Isaiah Rodgers fly? Did you guys see Isaiah Rodgers fly around the edge on that extra point block? Like at this point, just make him an edge rusher.
How about we want DeJean? I like that. Give me a Cooper DeJean. You spent high capital on that. Let's see what he's got. At least he gives you a run defender, a tackler. We have a lot of Bill Belichick comments coming in on this one. Let's wrap it up, guys. Almost an hour in. Shane, final thoughts on this one? Plugs. Let's go home.
Yeah, my final thought is I don't want to think about this game, but because I love you guys, I'll be wading into the film tomorrow and Tuesday. So you can check out on Twitter. I'll be tweeting stuff about it at Shane Half NFL. Johnny and I will have our midweek show on the Eagles Pinpool Network. So if you're one of the 2,500 people watching this live right now and sticking with us an hour after a loss, bless you. Go subscribe to our podcast feed. It'll really help us out with all the content we're producing. So you'll get a lot of great shows on there. Even this week after a brutal loss, we'll be breaking it all down all week. So go check it out.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, just keep an eye on the Twitter thread. I think the defense one is going to be brutal this week. Sometimes you watch a game back and like the film is a little bit better than the result, and you think, actually, I can see what they were doing here. I've got a feeling this one might be the opposite. I think the film might be even worse on rewatch because I feel like there were guys open on the Bucs all game long. So I think this could be a rough defensive rewatch.
My final thoughts on this game is remember ESP's tweets when he was talking about how Jalen Hurts never had a turnover during training camp. We're heading into the bye week.
Yeah.
Next year, if Jalen Hurts doesn't throw 12 interceptions in training camp, I'm out on the season.
Training camp tweets are the worst. QB stats training. Oh, God. Yeah, that's a great takeaway. That's a great last point.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Make sure you subscribe and download Eagles Pinpool Network. We put out tons of shows every single day of the week, essentially. We'll be doing Birds of the Round Table tomorrow night, right, Shane? I think so.
Yes.
Yep. Birds of the Round Table, more therapy sessions coming to you, our Eagles fam. He is Shane Half at Shane Half NFL. That is Johnny Page at Johnny Page 9. I am Deibs for Shane, for Johnny, for myself. We out. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.